Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Health Chats podcast. I am your host, Kelsey Grieveson, and today's episode, I'm going to talk about health and travel. I've been traveling since April, and this will come out in August, I think. And honestly, it is hard to live this nomadic lifestyle and stay healthy. I think it's such a balancing act to stick to routine, to stick to habits, to hit fitness goals, and also experience culture in the world and work full time and create content like this. And yeah, I don't think anyone said it would be easy, but I'm not recording this to complain because I think there could be a lot harder things that my life could look like. I mean, I'm also not limiting my hard. We all have something that we look at as hard and it's like, you're hard. But then there's that classic personal growth line that's like, choose your hard, right? And I feel so blessed and grateful and lucky that this has been my hard for the last few months. And so I kind of want to do a recap of like when I left Canada, what that journey's looked like, how I have stayed fit and healthy and sane while being in so many different countries, and just, yeah, like what I'm doing presently here. Because present day, I'm in Spain and I'm sitting on my bed in the rental that I chose, drinking coffee in a very different way than I would normally ever drink coffee. This coffee, maybe it's normal and I've just never heard of it, but they're basically coffee grounds and you put it in the cup and then you add hot water and then you let all of the grounds go to the bottom of the coffee cup. So instead of making a French press where you would like press them and make sure you don't drink any of them, it's kind of this risky game of like, am I maybe going to get a coffee ground or are they heavy enough to stay at the bottom? I don't know, but I'm enjoying it and it tastes like coffee. Not the best coffee I've ever had, but that's at home coffee for, most of the population. So anyways, where I want to start is when I land somewhere new, what is the first thing that I do to set myself up for routine and success and health? First thing, get groceries. And this is, for anyone who lives a fit and healthy lifestyle, it's obvious you cook at home more often than you eat out. And I know so many people who are like, but you're traveling. Like, what about the food? What about this? And what about that? And yeah, you're right. There is food everywhere and it's really exciting to try it. But if I lived by just eating out all the time, I would probably not be as fit as I am. I would have way more brain fog. I would be consuming way too much sodium, way too much oil. I'm way, way, way too aware of what sort of macros my body actually needs. And I think when you get onto a health and fitness journey, you start to realize that too. Yes, maybe you go to a restaurant, you order the healthiest thing on the menu, but that as compared to what you cook at home is never going to be the same. You never truly know what is in the item. So that's always step one for me. And the grocery store also has been so stressful because I have been in Bali. That's where I was the longest, Bali, Indonesia. Then I was in Croatia and then I was in Italy and now I'm in Spain, and none of these places have English as a first language. So going into the grocery store, yeah, you'd think it's like, okay, yeah, I get my eggs, I get my milk, I get my bread, I get my whatever. It's not that easy. They don't set up the grocery store in the same way. In the produce section, you know how blessed we are in Canada, and I think America too, where you just like grab whatever item and then they weigh it for you when you're about to pay for it. No, you have to weigh it yourself and you have to figure out what the number is for the avocado or for the zucchini and you put it in there and like the machine's not in English and it just takes way longer than it needs to. And it's so funny because again, like first world problems, like choose your hard. But that's been a hard thing for me is going to the grocery store and like getting everything that I need to get. And it's taken me much longer than it normally would to grocery shop. And then I get home and then I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even buy cottage cheese because I couldn't find it because it wasn't in English. And then I have to go back the next day and it's this whole adventure again. But besides the point, first thing I do is grocery shop because when traveling and being on a health and a fitness journey, food is always going to be like number one. I think food is one of our biggest connectors as humans. Like we all do it. We need to eat to survive. If you're not eating, I mean, you just have so much time on your hands. We spend a lot of time eating and cooking and preparing food and thinking about food. And I love that. I love food. And so number one is always to get that. I have my basics that I get. I eat the same breakfast. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that I've been eating the same breakfast for like probably 7 years now. I eat oats. I make my overnight oats. I put chia seeds in it. I put banana. I put berries. It's amazing. And then I make a 3 to 4 egg omelet with some vegetables. Very basic. So I always make sure that I have my breakfast stuff. Then for lunches, okay, what do I get for lunches? I normally swap in between something simple like getting quinoa and fresh vegetables. I'll make a quinoa salad. And then lately I've been eating a lot of fish. So I've been getting smoked salmon, which is really nice, or I'll get a whitefish. And in the accommodation, which I'm going to talk about next, that I choose, I always make sure that there's a kitchen because girl or man, if you're traveling somewhere and you're trying to be on a fitness journey and you don't have a kitchen, you are setting yourself up for failure. You have to be able to cook. You're not going to be able to live off of the croissants that they have and the cappuccinos that they have in the cafes or in the coffee shops, right? Like you've got to make sure you have a kitchen. So make sure to set myself up with that. I usually prep food from like the first or second day. So I have a quinoa salad made for my lunches. I also get bread so I can make sandwiches. I've been eating a lot of tuna sandwiches, which is just like so simple, but also so healthy. You get protein from the tuna, you get carbs from the bread, add some veggies on there. And then I'll get protein bars because honestly, while traveling, especially in Europe, I've noticed they don't eat protein. Like, I don't know what they're doing in Canada and America. I definitely see that we eat probably way too much protein. But out here, I feel like they eat just none. Like, they're maybe eating 30 to 60 grams a day. And from a girl who eats like 150 grams a day, I'm like, what the heck? Like, how are you even surviving? But yeah, I make sure that I get protein bars. I travel with whey protein powder too. Whenever I run out, I just go and I get more. Today I'm going to go to a refillery and see if they do just like bulk whey protein because I have a bag that fits perfectly in my travel bags and I can just fill it up with more whey. So that's kind of like number one, making sure I set up with groceries, making sure that I have the basics. That way it's not 1 p.m. and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so hungry. And then I go buy a piece of pizza or a kebab or like whatever the universal foods are that they have everywhere that you travel to. But I also want to say, because I'm a balanced girl, I live in harmony. I also eat the foods of the culture. I'm never going to say, no, I can't eat that. I'm on a diet. I think that's so restrictive. And I believe health is it's multifaceted. Health is about experience. Health is not about being the skinniest woman in the room. Health is not about being the most disciplined person in the universe. Health is about experiencing all of it. So yes, I'm going to have the paella while I'm in Spain. Yes, I'm going to have pasta and pizza and way too many cappuccinos while I was in Italy, but I don't regret it because they were so damn good every time. And I'm going to have a tiramisu and I'm going to eat breakfast, but then I'm going to have one of the pastries, like a croissant or something, just to have the experience. But am I going to do that every single day for every meal of the day? No. I think that's where people get into this mindset of like all or nothing, where they're traveling and they're like, yeah, like I'm going to Italy, so I have to eat pasta like 6 times a day. It's like, actually, no, I don't think the people who live in Italy and like live that culture, I don't think that's how they do it. I feel like they're actually pretty balanced. Who really knows? But if you're traveling, like if you're listening to this and you're like looking for tips for travel, take that into consideration that it never needs to be all or nothing. You have a routine and you have a lifestyle at home for a reason that works because it makes you feel good. So just because you're going traveling doesn't mean you need to completely let go of all of your habits and all of your routines, but also like be fluid and leave room to experience the culture without feeling guilt, without feeling shame. Because yeah, I don't know. I would just hate to get to the end of my life and be like, damn, like I really wish I'd tried the carbonara in Italy. Like, fuck. Why would I do that to myself? Like, let yourself try the foods, right? So that's kind of like food when it comes to health and travel. I would say, yeah, like the grocery shopping was the hardest part. But now that I'm grounded in one place for a while, that's usually helpful. Like I'm here for a month and as creatures of habits, we usually pick things up pretty quickly. Any habit, the way it works is you do it multiple times. So like going to the grocery store, I go there like 4 or 5 times. Eventually I'm just going to know where everything is and then it'll get easy, right? Like it's usually hard before it's easy. So that's something that I've learned with the travel. The second thing, and it's funny, I went to food first, but the second thing is accommodations. So choosing accommodations, I have been a part of Facebook groups. This is a life hack for people who travel for a long period of time. Stop going on Airbnb, and maybe I'll say something different one day if they ever decide to sponsor me. But currently where I'm at, don't go on Airbnb. Don't be spending Airbnb prices. If you're going to be somewhere longer than, I'm going to say 3 weeks, go on Facebook, find the short-term rentals, find the digital nomad groups, and there are so many rentals for a way better price, like literally half the price of Airbnb. If you're only traveling for a week or 2 weeks, Airbnb, it's the way to go. It's tough to find a rental like where I'm living right now. It's in a shared apartment with a girl who's from Valencia and she was renting out her room just for like 1 straight month, the exact dates that I needed. And I was like, oh, okay, I've been looking on Airbnb and it's like double what you're going to charge me. So yeah, I'll come live with someone. Also, there's a benefit. When you live with someone, you get to see how they live and see like what culture actually is. I'm immersed in it now, which is really cool. Of course, I'm going to say, don't live with just anyone. Don't live with the first person who messages you and is like, hey, I have a room for like €400 a month. Make sure you talk to them, FaceTime them, see if they're like-minded. Because yeah, I think I would choose paying more over living with a stranger because it was cheap. So again, like finding that middle way. But yeah, I've found the Facebook groups. I've had both. I've had a hit and a miss. I had a miss when I was in Bali and I ended up paying double for where I was living anyways. But living here, it feels like a hit. It feels like a win so far. And this way too, you can guarantee that you have a kitchen, you have someone that you can ask questions like, hey, where should I do my laundry? How do I do this? How do I get around? How do I use the metro? So that's really helpful as someone traveling and like, again, trying to stay sane and trying to keep stress levels low is setting up my environment where it's like, I know that my basic human needs are going to be met. And that's really important while you're floating in the world is to feel grounded in some way. So that's accommodations. I just took a big sip of this coffee, like 3 glugs, because I can feel that it's getting cold. All right. Next thing, fitness. So movement, exercise, activity. How do I do it? Well, I don't think I could not do it at this point in my life. The gym is mi casa numero dos. I say it's my home number 2. I need to go to the gym. It makes me feel good mentally. It makes me feel good physically. If I am not going to the gym, like I took actually 3 weeks off this summer I can feel it on my mental. I can feel the endorphins just aren't doing the endorphin thing like they normally do. The gym for me, I've definitely changed my relationship with, where it used to be so much about physical and like shrinking my body and getting to look a certain way, where now it is so much more mental. It's so much more like, when I go, I feel good that one, I went, but two, the effects of moving my body and pushing heavy weights. And like lately, I've been practicing handstands. That's so fun. It makes me feel so, so good. So when I'm choosing my accommodations, I normally look ahead of time at how close are gyms. Are they within walking distance? Do I need to get a bicycle in order to get around? And every place so far, I've found a gym that's within like 5 to 10 minutes walking distance. The thing with gyms is you're naturally going to pay more because, especially traveling shorter term, like I was only in Italy for a week. Or in one part of Italy when I was actually exercising. So I was paying drop-ins every day. Naturally, it was more expensive, but then that's a mindset shift of like, is this an expense or is this an investment? I always look at it as an investment. This is into my health. I know if I'm spending the money here, it's worth it because it makes me feel good. Same thing in Valencia right now, only here for a month. So instead of getting the good deal of buying a 1-year contract, it's a 1 month. So it's €65, a little bit more than I would spend at my gym back home, but it's an investment. And I know it's going to make me feel really good. Hacks though, for traveling and trying to save some money while experiencing more studios is ClassPass. I love ClassPass. I got to Europe, but I actually haven't had a ClassPass membership in a while. And I logged in and it was like 2 weeks for €1. €1. What? That's like $2 Canadian. And I get to go to, it's like 30 credits or something, which is going to be 5 to 7 classes, different studios, which I think is so cool. So yeah, if you're traveling places, there's another life hack, use ClassPass. The other thing is obviously most studios, they offer drop-ins, which I have paid drop-ins. If I see the studio and I'm like, ooh, you're not on ClassPass, but I want to try it out, I'm going to do it because again, it's an experience and I love yoga. So I'm going to go and I'm going to try yoga wherever I am. So yeah, those are kind of like the basic priorities when I get to a new place. Like, can I go shopping for groceries? Do I have an accommodation where I can cook food and like have my basic needs met? Am I close to health and fitness stuff? And then after that, of course, health is so much more than just like our physical body and our mind. Health is also relationships. And I'm going to talk about 2 different ways that I nurture and build relationships while I'm traveling. I would say this is the hardest part. I know I said like the grocery store is pretty hard, but relationships is much harder. I years ago decided that I wasn't going to travel for a while. I grounded myself down in Calgary, where I'm from, and was like, I'm noticing when I'm always traveling, I'm not able to build deep connections with my friends how I want to. And it was like a really vulnerable thing for me because I had ended a relationship, became pretty avoidant, started to run, and was scared of relationships, whether it was like romantic or friendships. And that turned into me just like traveling all over the place. And I had one friend who was like, hey, Kels, like, you're never here. Like, just told me how it was. He was like, you're always off doing your thing, and then you'll come back and you'll be like, hey guys, like, look at all these experiences I just had. But then you leave again. And it's like, you're never actually here for the hard moments and like the other parts of building a relationship. And that just hit me hard. I was like, ooh, yeah, okay. I didn't know why, but I felt like I wanted to stay and like actually be around. So a big part of 2024, 2 years ago, was me just being in Calgary and building community. And now, fast forward 2 years, I catch up with my friends every week while I'm traveling. I make it a thing to have our weekly FaceTime dates. If we're not FaceTiming, if something happens, we're sending each other voice notes, we're sending each other texts, I'm sending photos of everything. Because yeah, relationships today more than ever, I would even say, are one of the biggest and most important components of health. And what I also know is relationships end. Romantic relationships, they end. People get into a partnership and then they break up. And it is so heartbreaking and like earth shattering. And it is hard to bounce back from. I mean, this isn't about that, but I haven't gotten in another romantic relationship in a long time because I have this unconscious, probably fear of what if I get hurt again, right? And so nurturing relationships, romantic or not, it is very, very important for human health because we need each other. We need to connect with humans, not just virtually, but also in person, physically. We need hug, we need touch, we need all of that. And I would say that's something Bali helped me see a lot of because when I was there, I was like, okay, I'm going to be here for a while. I need to find my people. And I went out immediately and was like, hey, I want to talk to a bunch of random strangers. And I was able to build community quite quickly. And that was something that we would talk about all the time is like our relationships with each other or with the people that we were like dating and seeing. And it was just so real and raw and like open, which I feel like we don't talk about enough. So even now I see myself kind of tripping over words because it's like, yeah, this isn't talked about enough. I don't think it is. So I would say in the how do I do that while traveling? I'll be honest, it's not easy when I'm in places for a short period of time. I don't feel fulfilled by going out and talking to people really deeply who I'm never going to see again, honestly. I would rather spend that energy on relationships that I know I can nurture for the long run. I don't like surface level conversations. I will have them if I'm like, I haven't really connected with a human in a while, like, let's go talk to a stranger in the coffee shop and like see what happens. And I'll push myself to that. But what I know is like true community and true friendship comes from long term nurturing. And Rome is not built in a day. So those relationships, those healthy relationships, they also will not be built in one day or in 1 week or even 1 month of living in one place. So to be vulnerable, yeah, that's the hardest part, I would say. I don't want this to sound like I have all the answers. That's the hardest part about living nomadically. And I mean, there's the positive of seeing the world and having all of these experiences, but there's usually a sacrifice with that. And I would say the sacrifice for me has been my friends and my family and not connecting with them as much back home, which makes my heart hurt. But I'm happy because we have our weekly calls. So I'll be catching up with them this week, which is really nice. So yeah, components of health, food, accommodations, fitness, relationships. Then, of course, there's the spiritual component of health, which for me, I would say is a lot of the times my default. Like I meditate on a daily basis. For me, that's my spiritual practice. I don't go to church. I don't resonate really with any religion in particular, but we all have a different way in that we connect to spirit. And that might be also through connecting to other humans too. But for me, it's meditation. And the beautiful thing about meditation is it's completely free. It is within you. It's your breath. It's your mind. It's your body. You don't need to go anywhere. You don't need any specific props for it. I sit on my floor every morning or I sit in my bed where I am right now. And I give myself like 5 minutes, sometimes 20, depends on how I'm feeling and what my day looks like. And I just breathe. And lately what I've been doing is breathing into my heart center. I have been practicing more heart-centered breathing and breathing in gratitude for my experiences, for my friends, for my family, for connections. And that's my personal spiritual practice. I find when I do that, I'm much more grounded in the day and have more clarity in my mind to be able to show up for all of the other things. To also remind myself, like, why am I doing this? Why am I traveling? Why am I in Spain? And to wrap it up there after, starting in Bali, going to Croatia, Italy, and now Spain. Yeah, why am I here? I want to learn Spanish. That's literally it. That's the only reason that I'm in Spain because, I don't know anyone here. I don't know much about the culture other than I know Spanish people party super hard, which I don't resonate with. But what I do know is they speak Spanish. And what better place to learn Spanish than somewhere where you're immersed in it? So that's my plan while I'm here. I don't have my next plans, and that's okay. That's the fun part of the nomadic life is you don't need to know everything. You don't need to know what's next. Some people listening might hear that and be like, how do you not have plans? And my girl, my guy, I used to be the same, where I needed to have my life planned for like at least the next year. But I think travel, what it teaches you is there is so much unknown that it helps you let go of the known. It helps you become comfortable in the unknown. That felt like such a tongue twister. And I honestly really like that. It feels like a lot more surrender in my life, a lot more go with the flow, spontaneity. But through it, I still have structure in my health, in my habits, in my work. So that's what makes it all balance and harmonize really nicely. So I'm going to leave it there. That felt like a good chat. I'm going to drink more of my coffee and I have a Spanish lesson to get to now. So adios. Thank you for listening to the Health Chats podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast, please like, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.